The monastery of the silent god clings to the cliffs like a barnacle to a ship's hull, 500 feet above a sea that never stops screaming. Brother Colin arrives on the 32nd day of winter, when the wind cuts through wool like razor wire, and the stone steps up the cliff face are slick with ice that never fully melts. He is 23 years old and burning with the kind of faith that feels like swallowing hot coals. The abbot meets him at the iron gate. The old man's face is a landscape of deep lines, eyes sunken so far back they seem to watch from caves. He says nothing. He simply gestures for Colin to follow, and the gate closes behind them with a sound like a coffin lid. Inside, the monastery is all gray stone and silence, not peaceful silence, the kind that presses against your eardrums, the kind that makes you aware of your own heartbeat, your own breath, the wet clicking sound your tongue makes against the roof of your mouth. There are 32 monks here, Colin learns, 32 exactly. There have always been 32. When one dies, another arrives, as if summoned by some cosmic accounting. Colin is the replacement for Brother Thomas, who threw himself from the cliffs 3 weeks ago. No one speaks of why. The abbot leads him through corridors that smell of old incense and older stone. Candles flicker in alcoves, casting shadows that seem to move independently of their flames. They pass a chapel where stained glass windows depict scenes Colin doesn't recognize from scripture. Saints with too many eyes, angels with geometries that hurt to look at directly. They stop before a heavy wooden door banded with iron. The Chamber of Dreams, the abbot says. His voice sounds like gravel being crushed. You will not enter this room. No one enters this room. Through the small barred window in the door, Colin sees bones. Human bones arranged in twisted sculptures of agony, spines bent backward, ribs splayed like flowers blooming in reverse, skulls with jaws locked open in eternal screams. Monks who broke the rule, the abbot continues. Their bodies were found like this. We did not arrange them. We simply gathered what was left and placed them here as a reminder. Colin's throat is dry. What rule? Every night at midnight, we descend to the crypt. We chant the 32 litanies of binding, all 32 monks, all 32 prayers. We have done this for 600 years without fail. This is not symbolic. This is not metaphor. If we fail, the world ends. Do you understand? Colin nods, but he doesn't understand. Not yet. He still thinks this is poetry, ritual, the dramatic language of old men keeping ancient traditions alive for tradition's sake. You will learn your litany, the abbot says. The 14th. You will practice until you can chant it in your sleep, until the words are carved into your bones. You will never miss a night. You will never chant out of order. You will never seek the 33rd. The 33rd. The abbot's eyes narrow to slits. There is no 33rd. If anyone tells you otherwise, come to me immediately. If you find any reference to a 33rd, come to me immediately. If you dream of a 33rd, come to me immediately. Do you understand? Yes, abbot. Good. Brother Marcus will show you to your cell. We chant at midnight. You will observe only tonight. You will not make a sound. Colin's cell is 8 feet by 6 feet. A wooden cot, a desk, a single candle, a crucifix on the wall, Christ's face worn smooth by centuries of desperate fingers touching it. There is a tiny window, barely a slit in the stone, through which he can see nothing but gray sky. Brother Marcus is young, perhaps 30, with nervous hands that never stop moving. He explains the schedule in a rapid whisper. Prayers at dawn, work in the garden or scriptorium. Prayers at noon, study. Prayers at evening, simple meal. Prayers at midnight, the long ones, the important ones, down in the crypt. What's down there? Colin asks. In the crypt, what are we binding? Marcus's hands stop moving. For 3 full seconds he is perfectly still, and that stillness is more frightening than any of his fidgeting. The sleeper, he whispers, and you don't want to know more than that. Trust me, I've been here 5 years and I still don't sleep well." At midnight, Colin follows the procession of monks down spiral stairs that descend far deeper than the monastery should go. The air grows cold and damp. The walls weep moisture that isn't quite water, something thicker, something that reflects the torchlight in colors that shouldn't exist. Down and down and downs. The crypt is vast, far larger than the monastery above. The ceiling arches up into darkness that candles cannot penetrate. The floor is inscribed with circular patterns, spirals within spirals, and at the center is a massive stone seal carved with symbols that make Colin's eyes water when he tries to focus on them. The monks arrange themselves in a circle around the seal. Each stands at a specific point on the outer ring of the floor pattern. There are 32 positions, 32 monks. Colin is told to stand outside the circle, to watch, to learn the rhythm. The abbot raises his hand. The chanting begins. It is not like any prayer Colin has ever heard. The words are not Latin, not Greek, not any language he recognizes. The syllables feel wrong in his ears, like they're coming from inside his skull rather than from the mouths of the monks. The sound builds and builds, a harmonic that makes his teeth ache and his stomach clench. And beneath it, he hears something else. Breathing. Slow, deep breathing, like the respiration of something impossibly vast. In and out, in and out. The rhythm doesn't match the chanting. It's slower, each breath taking minutes. He realizes with creeping horror that the breathing was there before the chanting started. It's always there. The chanting just makes it audible. Something is asleep beneath the seal, something huge. The litanies continue for an hour. Each monk chants his assigned prayer, 1 through 32, in perfect order. The breathing beneath never changes, never speeds up, never slows down. It simply continues, patient, eternal. When it ends, the monks file out in silence. No one speaks. No one makes eye contact. They climb the stairs like men who have just visited their own graves. Colin doesn't sleep that night. He lies in his cot and stares at the ceiling and listens to the monastery settling around him, the old stones creaking, and he swears he can still hear that breathing, faint and far away, in and out, in and out. The days fall into rhythm. He learns his litany, the 14th, practices until the alien syllables feel almost natural on his tongue. He works in the garden, tending plants that grow in soil that was brought from somewhere else, because nothing will grow in the native earth here. He eats meals of black bread and thin soup and speaks to no one, because speaking is discouraged. And every night at midnight, he descends with the others and chants his litany in the circle, while something breathes beneath the seal. 3 weeks pass. Colin is good at faith. Faith is easy when you're burning with it. But he's also good at curiosity, and curiosity is harder to control. He begins to wonder, what is the sleeper? Why 32 prayers? Who wrote them? When he asks Brother Marcus, the man just shakes his head and hurries away. When he approaches older monks, they turn their backs. The abbot is unreachable, always locked in his chambers or walking the walls alone. So Colin does what curious young men have always done. He goes looking for answers in forbidden places. The library is small, just one room lined with shelves of crumbling books and scrolls. Most are prayer books, copies of the liturgies they chant nightly. Some are histories of the monastery, dry accounts of harvests and repairs, nothing useful. But on his 5th visit, Colin notices something. One shelf sits slightly proud of the wall, just a fraction of an inch. He runs his fingers along the edge and feels a gap behind the wood. His heart begins to pound. He looks over his shoulder, sees no one, and carefully pries at the shelf. It swings open on hidden hinges. Behind it is a cavity carved into the stone. Inside the cavity is a single scroll, bound with a cord that might once have been red, but has faded to the color of old blood. Colin's hands shake as he lifts it out. The scroll is lighter than it should be, like it's made of something other than parchment. He unrolls it carefully on the reading desk. The script is the same as the litanies, the same wrong-angled letters that hurt to read, but this one is numbered differently. The third litany. Below the title, in smaller script, is a phrase in Latin he can translate, the prayer of union, to walk in the dream of God and know true peace. Colin's breath catches. This is it. This is the secret truth the others won't tell him. Not a binding, but a union. Not imprisonment, but communion. Everything suddenly makes sense. The others are afraid, trapped in ritual, but this prayer is the real purpose, the transcendent purpose. He copies it quickly onto a scrap of paper, memorizing the syllables. Then he replaces the scroll exactly as he found it, closes the hidden compartment, and returns to his cell with his heart singing. That night, after the regular chanting in the crypt, after the other monks have gone to their cells, Colin kneels by his cot and whispers the 33rd litany. The words feel different than the 14th. They don't hurt his throat. They feel smooth, almost pleasant, like honey coating his tongue. He chants all the way through, pronouncing each syllable carefully. When he finishes, he waits. Nothing happens. He tries again, putting more feeling into it, more devotion. Nothing. He slumps back, disappointment crushing his chest. Maybe it was a fake, a test, something to catch curious novices. Maybe he misunderstood. He blows out his candle and lies down to sleep, feeling foolish. He dreams of stars and darkness and something vast shifting in the deep. When he wakes, the world is wrong. The light coming through his window is gray, but not morning gray. It's a gray that seems to pulse, to breathe. He sits up and looks at his cell, and the proportions are off. The far wall is too far away. The ceiling is too close. He blinks, and for a moment both are true at the same time, and his brain screams trying to process it. He stands. The floor feels soft under his feet, not quite solid. He walks to his door and opens it. The corridor outside stretches impossibly long in both directions, the walls curving in ways stone walls shouldn't curve. The candles in the alcoves burn with flames that cast shadows upward instead of down. He sees Brother Marcus walking toward him. No, through him. Marcus passes through the exact spot where Colin is standing, passes through him like he's not there, and Colin feels the passage like cold water flowing through his organs. He gasps and stumbles back. Marcus is solid again, 20 feet away, walking normally. He doesn't seem to notice anything wrong. Colin's heart hammers. He walks to the chapel, needing to pray, needing to center himself. The stained glass windows are different. The saint in the eastern window had been holding a book yesterday. Now he's holding a severed head. The angel in the western window had 2 wings. Now it has 6, arranged in a pattern that makes Colin's eyes water. He blinks. The windows are normal again. Book, not head. 2 wings, not 6. He blinks again. Head and 6 wings. Both are true. Both are real. He's seeing the monastery as it is and as it exists somewhere else, some other layer of reality, and the 2 versions are bleeding together. "Oh God," he whispers. "Oh God, what did I do?" He runs to find the abbot, but the monastery is a maze now. Corridors lead to rooms that don't exist. Stairs go up but arrive at lower levels. He passes the same door 3 times from 3 different directions. Through windows, he sees the sky, but the stars are in the wrong places, constellations that spell out words in languages that predate language. He finds Brother Marcus in the garden. Marcus is planting something, but Colin can see that in the other version, the overlapping version, Marcus is pulling things out of the soil, things with too many legs, things that squirm and whisper. Brother Marcus, Colin gasps. Something's wrong, something happened. I think I'm going mad. Marcus looks at him with eyes that are brown but also black, also silver, also apertures opening onto void. You chanted it, Marcus says. His voice echoes wrong. You chanted the 33rd, you stupid, stupid boy. Colin stumbles backward. How did you? We all know the moment it happened. We felt the breach. Marcus stands and his shadow falls in 6 directions at once. You didn't wake the sleeper. You did something worse. You connected your mind to its mind. You're inside its dream now, and the dream is leaking into here. Other monks are emerging from doorways, from around corners. Their faces are grim. Several are holding ropes. We have to restrain him, Brother Thomas says, and Colin realizes with shock that Brother Thomas is here. Brother Thomas, who is supposed to be dead, but maybe he's not dead in the dream. Maybe in the dream he never jumped, and Colin is seeing both versions, the world where Thomas died and the world where he didn't, and they're both real, and his mind is splitting trying to hold both truths. They grab him. The ropes feel like ropes, but also like cold hands, like tentacles, like nothing at all. They drag him toward the crypt, and the monastery is breathing now, the walls expanding and contracting, the floor tilting, gravity becoming a suggestion rather than a law. Down the spiral stairs, down and down. The walls are weeping that not quite water, but now Colin can see what it really is. The condensation of dreams, the overflow of sleeping thoughts made liquid. In the crypt, the seal is cracking. Thin fissures spiderweb across the stone, and through them shines a light that isn't light. It's the opposite of light, darkness made visible, and it's the most beautiful thing Colin has ever seen. The abbot is there, and his face is twisted with ancient fear. Do you understand now? He shouts over a sound like distant chanting, like cosmic wind. The sleeper is not God. It is what existed before God, before creation, before the first thought itself. It is the undream, the anti-pattern. It doesn't want to wake. It doesn't want anything. It simply is, and its being unmakes everything around it. The litanies keep it bound in sleep, keep its dream contained. But you fool, you invited its dream into your mind. You're a hole in reality now. You're letting it blide through. The light from the cracks is growing. The breathing is louder, filling the crypt, filling Colin's skull. What do we do? One of the monks screams. We chant, the abbot says. We chant the 32, and we pray it's enough to reseal the breach. They form the circle, but now Colin can see both circles, the one in this reality and the one in the dream reality. And in the dream reality, they're not monks. They're geometric shapes, crystalline structures of thought and prayer given form, and they're beautiful and terrible and wrong. The chanting begins. But Colin, standing at the center now, bound by ropes that are also tentacles that are also nothing, can see what the chanting really does. Through the cracks in the seal, he sees the sleeper, not a monster, not a horror. It's a vast, peaceful expanse of darkness, studded with stars that are really thoughts, really dreams, patterns of infinite complexity and infinite beauty. It's everything and nothing. It's the peace before existence, the silence before the first word. And the chanting hurts it. Each prayer is a nail driven into the darkness, a chain wrapping around the vastness, forcing it down, forcing it to remain still, to remain asleep. The sleeper doesn't fight. It simply endures, patient, eternal, suffering in silence. The monks' voices become distorted in Colin's ears. They sound like screaming, like the grinding of stones, like torture. Stop, Colin whispers. The chanting continues. Stop it, he says louder. You're hurting it, can't you see? It's not evil, it's just existing. It's beautiful, you're the ones causing pain. The abbot's eyes meet Colin's, and in them Colin sees 600 years of exhausted duty, of bearing knowledge too heavy for any mind. "It is beautiful," the abbot says softly, still chanting, his voice splitting into multiple tones. "That's what makes it so dangerous. Beauty without love, peace without mercy, perfection without purpose. If it wakes, if its dream fully manifests, everything we are will dissolve into it like sugar in water. We'll cease to exist not because it destroys us, but because we become irrelevant. We become nothing. The pain is necessary. The prison is mercy." But Colin is inside the dream now, and the dream is showing him truth, or what it knows as truth. He sees the universe as the sleeper sees it, a brief, painful intrusion of chaos and noise and suffering. Consciousness is an aberration. Thought is a wound. Existence itself is a mistake that the void tolerates with infinite patience. And the sleeper's perspective feels right. It feels true. It feels like coming home. "Please," Colin sobs, tears streaming down his face, but he doesn't know who he's begging. The monks, the sleeper, himself. "Please stop. Please let it rest. Let us all rest." He feels his mouth opening, feels words rising from somewhere deep, words that are not the litanies, words that are the opposite of the litanies, words that are unmaking prayers. The abbot sees it happening, sees Colin about to speak the counter-chant, the words that would undo 600 years of binding. The old man doesn't hesitate. He breaks from the circle, and the remaining monks stumble as the pattern disrupts. He runs at Colin not with ropes, not with weapons, but with open arms. He grabs the young monk and drags him forward, toward the seal, toward the widening cracks. "Forgive me," the abbot whispers in Colin's ear, "but you need to see. You need to see all of it, not just what it wants you to see." And he throws them both into the light that isn't light. Colin's mind explodes outward, expanding to touch the sleeper directly, and for a moment he is the sleeper, he is the vast peaceful darkness, he is the undream. And it is beautiful beyond words. But the abbot is there with him, the abbot's consciousness like a hard point of focused will, and the old man forces Colin's attention deeper, past the beauty, past the peace, to the truth at the center. The void is not peace, it's absence, not rest but cessation, not perfection but nothing. There is no love here because love requires a lover and a beloved. There is no thought because thought requires a thinker. There is no meaning because meaning requires someone to mean something to someone. The beauty Colin saw was his own mind trying to make sense of absolute zero, trying to paint colors onto emptiness. But the emptiness doesn't care about his colors. It doesn't care about anything. If the sleeper woke, it wouldn't destroy the world through malice. It would simply resume existing fully, and in its existence, the world would be revealed as the temporary, fragile dream it always was. Humanity, love, art, hope, all the things that made existence bearable, would dissolve like morning mist, and there would be only the void again, forever and always, and it would not be evil because it would not be anything. Colin sees this truth, sees it with a clarity that shatters him. The scream that tears from his throat is not words. It's pure rejection, pure terror, pure desperate clinging to existence, to consciousness, to the painful, beautiful mistake of being alive. The scream becomes a prayer, not the 33rd litany, not any litany. It's something new, something primal, the first prayer anyone ever spoke. Please let me exist, please let me matter, please let there be meaning. The light implodes. The cracks in the seal slam shut with a sound like worlds colliding. The breath beneath the crypt stutters, slows, returns to its patient rhythm. Colin collapses. The abbot collapses beside him. The other monks are frozen, some weeping, some laughing with hysteria, some simply staring at nothing. Brother Marcus breaks first, running up the stairs, screaming wordlessly. Colin is alive, but he's not whole. He can feel it. Something broke in his mind, some fundamental structure that kept reality and dream separate. He's sealed the breach, but he's still touching the edge of it, still connected. When he opens his eyes, he sees the crypt, but he also sees the void, both at once, forever, overlapping, the world he knows and the nothing beneath it, always visible in his peripheral vision. He tries to speak but can't. His mouth opens and closes silently. The abbot pulls himself up, looking 1,000 years old. "Lock him in the chamber of dreams," the abbot says quietly. "He's stable, the breach is sealed, but he's a living wound now. A reminder, keep him fed, keep him alive, and pray he never learns to speak again, because if he does, God help us all, he might teach others what he's learned." They carry Colin's unresisting body up the stairs. The other monks part before them like water. No one speaks. What is there to say? In the chamber of dreams, surrounded by the twisted bones of those who broke the rule before him, Colin is laid on a simple cot. His eyes are open, and in them, if you look closely, you can see the reflection of something vast and dark and beautiful and terrible. They lock the door. The iron bands are thick, the lock heavy. That night, the 31 remaining monks descend to the crypt. They chant the 32 litanies, and one of them chants too, taking Colin's place, taking the 14th litany along with their own. It's harder with one voice doing double duty. The rhythm is off, but it holds. The seal remains closed. The breathing beneath continues, patient, eternal. Above in the chamber of dreams, Colin sits on his cot. He doesn't move. He doesn't sleep. He simply exists, watching both worlds at once, the world of stone and flesh and pain, and the world of void and peace and nothing. Sometimes, late at night, the other monks hear sounds from the chamber, not screaming, worse, laughter, quiet, gentle laughter, like someone who has finally understood a joke that's been 600 years in the telling. In the library, the hidden scroll remains in its cavity, waiting. The 33rd litany, the prayer of union, the words that promise truth. And in the deep places beneath the seal, the sleeper dreams on, patient, beautiful, terrible, and alone. It breathes in and out, each breath taking minutes, each dream lasting centuries. The monastery of the silent god remains, clinging to its cliff above a screaming sea. 32 monks chant 32 prayers every night at midnight. They have done this for 600 years. They will do it for 600 more, or 6,000, or until the world ends. And in the chamber of dreams, Colin watches both worlds and waits, a living warning, a sealed breach, a young man who sought God and found something infinitely older, infinitely stranger, infinitely more true than any god conceived by human minds. He is 33 years old, and he will never age another day. He is trapped in the moment between existence and nothing, between the dream and the void, between the world and the truth beneath it. The wind howls outside, the sea screams below, the stones breathe and settle, the candles flicker and the shadows move, and somewhere, far beneath everything, something vast and peaceful continues its endless, patient sleep, wrapped in chains of prayer and bound by the desperate faith of monks who know that consciousness is a wound in the void, and that wound must never be allowed to heal.